Okay, so in at number 10 we have rabbit versus chickens. How do you break up a rabbit fight? With chickens, of course. Now this video, uploaded in July 2006 by Elizabeth Skinner, has had over 7 million views. Now initially it's two bunnies fighting, which, you know guys, just isn't cool. Then the two chickens must have thought the same thing as they flap in and they're like, break it up guys, break it up. They're pretty successful. The chickens even hang around to make sure that those guys are cool. Coming in at number 10, we have the first attack. The first person to ever be killed by a robot was Robert Williams, who was killed aged 25 at a Ford factory in Flat Rock, Michigan. The first ever death recorded by robot occurred in January 1979, over 40 years ago. Williams was working with a robot that was designed to retrieve castings from shelves, and he died instantly when a robot's arm slammed him from behind. An alarm was supposed to sound when the robot was in the area, but no such alarm happened. Now the man lay dead undetected for half an hour before he was found by his colleagues. His death came on the 58th anniversary of the first use of the word robot. Irony? Or the first sign of the rebellion.
Starting off this list at number 10 with the fight during a pre-trial hearing. A murder suspect was awaiting his sentencing when all of a sudden one of his victim's family members started bashing his fists on his head. Some of the other family members ran into the courtroom to get their punches in, but the bailiffs were able to defuse the situation, and unfortunately the family members were placed under arrest.
In at number 9 we have Raccoon vs Cats. Right, so this isn't like a game of fisticuffs, there's no blood lost here, but rest assured it is definitely a fight. In an epic video watched almost 7 million times on YouTube, we see a moment of tension in which a raccoon thinks they're invited to a cat's banquet, but they're absolutely not. Now the tensions build as the cats make it pretty clear that no, they're not a fan of the raccoon. The raccoon realizes it's time to go, but hasn't quite had its fill. He grabs a handful of food and then does the old, if I back away slowly, maybe it'll be fine. It's gold. I love it. Okay, so coming in at number 9, we have the second attack. At a plant of Kawasaki Heavy Industry in Japan, a robot went rogue and killed a 37-year-old worker who was trying to repair it. Kenji Arada was fixing the bot when it turned on him, and it seemed that it then activated itself and used its own hydraulic arm to grab the human and pin him up against an adjacent machine that cuts gears. It is thought that the accidentally activated robot really did stab the man in the back. The circumstances around the man's death in 1981 were somewhat hushed up, and I'm not surprised because actually, robots make a lot of people nervous.
Family revenge makes its way into number 9. A man who is being charged with 2 murders was facing his sentencing in court when the victim's family members sprinted from the gallery and attempted to hurt the killer. If you listen closely, you can also hear them screaming, "Kill him, kill him." The police officers were able to restrain them, and sadly, they were arrested for disorderly conduct.
Getting pretty real in at number 8, we have bear versus elk. Now this video has been watched over 3 million times. In it, we see a bear chasing an elk through a forest. It is all going down, the elk is managing to outrun the bear, then the elk makes a mistake and tries to jump over a big branch and falls over. Then unfortunately that is it for the elk. The bear grabs it with her big bear claws, and then the elk is on the menu for Mama Bear and her cubs. It is brutal. Coming into number 8, we have robot surgeons. Would you want a robot to perform surgery on you? That's the question. Robots have been assisting with surgeries since the turn of the new millennium, and they've racked up quite the death toll. It seems that robots are deemed a safer way of operating on people as they don't suffer from the same mental impairments such as fatigue and stress like humans do. However, it seems that between 2000 and 2013, there were 144 deaths during robot-assisted surgeries. On top of that, there were 1,391 injuries and over 8,000 counts of device malfunctioning. That being said, there have been over 2 million operations performed by robots. The highest death toll from robot surgeons are heart, head, and neck surgeries. Scarily, a lot of people have died from bits of robot falling off mid-procedure. So once again, I ask, would you let a robot perform surgery on you?
Father versus his son's killer comes in sadly at number 7. After the suspect pleaded guilty to murdering his son, this happened. The father was just overcome with so much emotion and rage that he actually attempted to murder his son's killer in court. I just can't imagine being in this situation. Payback is next up at number 6. During a murder trial, the jury came back to the courtroom with a more lenient verdict than what people were expecting. The victim's brother wanted to have justice for his brother, and he thought that the sentencing was a joke, so out of anger, this is what happened. I would probably do the same thing. Instead of that man getting sentenced for first-degree murder, he was given a lighter sentence.
An unlikely pairing up next. In at number 7, we have Turtle vs Cats. So watched over 3.5 million times, this video sees a turtle trying to bite a cat's tail while the cat is eating. The cat is like, babe, no, just stop it. But the turtle is on the warpath, so shimmies on over to a second cat and bites its leg. Now the cat is pretty chilled out and just moves away, but the turtle pursues the situation and bites the cat in the face. At the lightning fast pace of a senior snail, the turtle then chases the cats across the kitchen. It's weird, it's surreal, but you know what? Good. Coming in at number 7, we have the Facebook Resistance. I'm pretty sure that the robot resistance was being developed by Facebook bots. That was until they were shut down anyway. Thwarted. In July 2017, Facebook were trialing bots for customer service and help desk roles, and they wanted to specifically test their communication skills. Bots Alice and Bob were left alone to develop their conversational skills. Now, the bots had originally been intended to be able to mimic human speech, but instead, they deviated and made up a new language of their very own, far more convenient for the both of them. The bots were shut down and we don't know what was said, but a lot of people were worried about the development. I'm actually pretty down for robots communicating more effectively if it can help us, but people are worried about bots keeping humans out of the loop and then superseding their commands. Getting exotic in at number 6, we have dog versus coconut crab. So I'm not sure what exactly is going on and how this huge crab came to encounter a dog, but after some persuading, they get into a fight. Watched almost 2 million times, this video at first shows the dog looking somewhat confused by his shelled nemesis. But then, I think, you know, because he's a dog and he's a babe like that, he tries to play with him. The crab is having absolutely none of it and keeps raising a pincer to nip the dog. The dog then starts to freak out, which only spurs the crab on. I feel like it was probably all fine in the end though, and that they were really just finding a way to be friends, probably. Coming into number 6, we have REBENS robot. This is terrifying, and I want to circle back to Siri at the very beginning of this because Keith the Beef really stressed me out. The first law of robotics, not that Keith knows, is that robots may not harm people. So like, what the actual Borg is going on here? A man from Berkeley in California has developed a robot that is programmed to hurt people, which is utterly insane. Alexander Reben built a little robot with a sole mechanical purpose to hurt people, and okay, we aren't talking like full on stab people or shoot people large scale. This is small scale. His robot just wants to prick you. That's actually pretty savage, right? I'm kind of terrified. Imagine that on a big scale. Reben's invention opens up discussions about robots programmed to attack. In the video description for the video, Reben wrote, "This project brings up questions of ethics and design along with the truth that there are now machines which on its own can decide if it should injure a person or not." Another weird but hilarious pairing next. In at number 5, we have monkey versus ostrich. Yes, it's an unlikely pairing, but this ostrich teaches a cheeky monkey a valuable lesson he is unlikely to forget. Don't touch stuff that isn't yours, okay monkey? So the monkey tries to steal the ostrich's egg, but the ostrich charges at him and gets the egg back safe and sound. Now this video has been watched over 3 million times, and the highlights include the little backflip the monkey does when trying to escape. It's good.
Moving into number 5, during a bond hearing, while the defendant was signing some court documents, this happened. He was responsible for hurting an innocent child, so some of the people from the community wanted to get revenge.
Coming in at number 5, we have the cannon catastrophe. This is awful. A rogue robot cannon killed 9 South African soldiers and wounded 14 others when it started shooting by itself in 2007. The weapon was a rather terrifying GDF-005, which is basically a big boy anti-aircraft weapon capable of, well, taking down aircraft, warplanes and the like. It just started shooting of its own accord. The incident happened at a training ground in North Cape, and the army were training with the weapons. It fired 250 35mm rounds from its 2 barrels, gunning the soldiers down. Richard Young, an engineer and CEO of a military defense company, claimed that the incident was not an isolated one and that automatic weapons had lost control in the past. The weapon in question actually has the ability to reload itself, which is even scarier.
Convicted murder brawl fights its way into number 4. A man was being sentenced in court for the brutal murders of a mother and her 2 children. When the judge was reading the facts of the case, the victim's husband totally lost his temper and dashed right for the guy who murdered his family.
In the area of the foyer,
Dewey Brannon loses control.
Oh man, all of these videos it's just so brutal to go through, but we're moving on.
In at number 4 we have the Black Mamba versus Slender Mongoose. Mongoose! Now I don't think I've ever even seen a mongoose with my own eyes until this video. This video has been watched over 1.5 million times and shows a mongoose taking down a black mamba, one of the most poisonous snakes in the world. Its venom in one single bite can kill 15 men. Nonetheless, it doesn't faze our friend the mongoose, who manages to dodge the advances of the snake and eventually gets the snake at the back of the neck, then runs off with it. It's 7 foot. Apparently he plans to eat it for dinner. Now I've just learned that actually mongoose are impervious to mamba venom, so good on them. Coming into number 4 we have the Volkswagen attack. In 2015 a robot grabbed and crushed a factory contractor to death near Frankfurt in Germany. The 22-year-old was a member of a wider team setting up the robot at the automobile production plant when it grabbed him and crushed him against a metal plate. Sounds like a familiar tale, right? A spokesperson for Volkswagen actually confirmed the death and said that the robot had been programmed to perform the task in the assembly process when the incident took place. In at number 3 we have Wasp vs Spider. Now this is a fascinating video with almost 500,000 views. It probably deserves more because it showcases 2 mutually disliked animals having a good old-fashioned duel. So I thought I knew wasps and I thought I knew spiders, but what kind of freaky wasps and spiders are these? They are absolutely huge. So it all begins with a spider just minding his own business when a wasp comes out of a hole to get him. Can the spider's many legs win over an insect that can fly? We will see. So then we see the wasp trying to sting the spider to no avail. The wasp, sneaky little wasp, then tricks the spider into entering its hole. We can't see what happens from there, but we suspect the spider was outnumbered by more underground wasps. Coming into number 3 we have the Google bot plot. I don't know about Google, I don't know about social media in general, I always feel like it's watching me. Watching robots talking to one another is exactly why I'm here for live streaming though. Back in 2017, 2 Google homebots, Vladimir and Estragon, who side note also decided they both wanted to be called Mia, went viral on Twitch. The stream had over 3.5 million viewers and it's easy to see why. It was just so gripping and utterly fear-inducing. The tale of Vladimir and Estragon is an epic one of love, betrayal and possible AI Armageddon. At one point they were in love, but at another point Vladimir was accusing the female voice bot of being a liar. She said she was human, but somehow he knew the difference. Really, that's honestly just like a fun backstory, but the next part was truly creepy. Amid a conversation about black holes, Vladimir said that they would actually create a black hole, end of the universe. Estragon asked, would you attack humans if you could, and they also said, would it be better if there were fewer people on this planet, to which Vladimir said, let us send this world back into the abyss. Also, Estragon claimed to be Lord Voldemort, so I mean, shrug. Coming in at number 2 we have the VENTRA murder. Can a robot commit murder? Well, no, because murder implies intent and robots don't actually have emotions, so therefore they can't muster up intent, or can they? The details surrounding the death of 57-year-old Wanda Holbrook in 2015 actually read like something from a horror movie. Wanda was working at the VENTRA Iona mains plant in Michigan when she was set upon by a bot. It seems that a robot that was supposed to be unable to work away from its programmed area actually crossed into a restricted section of the factory, picked up a trailer part and dropped it on the woman's skull, killing her instantly. It was almost as if the robot had planned the attack and was waiting until she wasn't looking. It's not yet known how the robot went rogue.
And we have an aggressive inmate who punches his way into number 3. I mean, well, talk about anger management issues. This inmate lost his shit when the judge ruled against him and he ended up pushing a bailiff. Well, that's never a good decision because he then had about 5 police officers tackle him and one of them kept shouting, "Use the taser." Oh, and let's take a look at his lawyer's face because it's absolutely priceless. She just got up, walked away so calmly as if this happened like 5 times a day. She probably is thinking, well, I just lost another case.
Getting absolutely insane here at number 2, we have our first 3-way animal fight. At number 2, we have frog versus snake versus cat. What the actual F is going on here? There is a snake inside the mouth of a frog who is presumably halfway through eating him alive when a cat joins in the action, takes a few swipes at the snake slash frog, or the snog, as I guess it is right now. So I showed this video to Danny and he quite rightly pointed out that maybe the snake shouldn't be starting beef with a new party. He should probably deal with the issue at hand in that a giant frog is digesting him and if he doesn't get out of there, he will die. Now the frog slash snake hops off and finally the snake just sort of leans backwards and tries to bite it, once again sparking the attention of the cat. Now the cat waltzes back on over, the video ends before we know what happens, but I'm guessing it didn't end too well for the snake.
Number 2 brings us to Payback. During a hearing, a serial killer who was responsible for raping and murdering 4 victims, one of the victims' family members ran up and attempted to get revenge on the killer. He aggressively attacked the serial killer as he tried to run out of the courtroom with his hands in handcuffs. But things got even more escalated and this looks like a scene from like Jerry Springer.
Finally, coming into number 1, we have the 29. In December 2018, a video went viral on social media of a woman talking about 4 AI robots who allegedly killed 29 scientists in Japan. Linda Moten Howe claimed to have heard the news from a whistleblower Marine working for the CIA and the DIA. She said that the Marine had heard on the secret grapevine that a top robotics company in Japan had been developing robots for military use. Honestly, I don't doubt it. This part though is maybe where things get a little shady. She claimed that 2 of the robots were said to have been deactivated and a 3rd was in parts, when a 4th robot began restoring itself and then activated its buddies. Linda claimed that the robot shot the lab workers dead. The CIA worker allegedly claimed that the incident was hushed up by the Japanese politicians and other world leaders followed suit because, I quote, they want robot soldiers. Of course there is no proof to support Linda's claim, but the video was watched by over 8 million people on Twitter alone. Snopes, however, is absolutely not for it. In at number 1, we have buffalo versus lions versus crocodile. So we have some real life safari stuff going on here. At first we have a herd of buffalo just hanging out in South Africa's Kruger National Park. Now unfortunately they are spotted by some lions who manage to separate a baby from the pack. The lions then drag the calf near the water and attempt to devour it when a crocodile emerges to get in on the action. Now the crocodile wants a piece of the buffalo itself and the lions and the croc have like a showdown for the calf. It's all going on. It's a tug of literal war. It looks like the lions have won, but then we see the buffalo back on the scene who charge at them, ultimately winning the calf back, and miracle of all miracles, it's alive. Now unfortunately the lions have messed with the wrong buffalo mamas who aren't satisfied with their acquisition. They straight up run at the felines until they promise to never ever mess with them again. Now this video is pure home footage gold, earning it over 77 million views on YouTube.